There's a quiet moment most people don't talk about. It usually happens late at night. You're lying in bed. The room is dark. Your phone is face down, and your body is tired. But your mind refuses to rest. Thoughts keep circling. Things you said earlier. Things you should have said. Decisions you haven't made. Decisions you already made, but keep replaying. You tell yourself, I'll figure it out tomorrow. But your mind doesn't listen, so you stare at the ceiling. And instead of peace, you feel pressure. Not loud pressure, quiet pressure, the kind that whispers, what if you're getting this wrong? The kind that asks questions without answers. The kind that turns even simple choices into mental marathons. This isn't because you're weak. It's not because you lacked discipline. And it's definitely not because something is wrong with you. It's because you've trained your mind to believe that thinking more will eventually create certainty. And tonight, I want to gently challenge that belief. Most people think overthinking means you're anxious, or indecisive, or afraid. That's only half the truth. Overthinking is often the behavior of someone who cares deeply. Someone who wants to get things right. Someone who doesn't want to waste time, energy, or opportunity. But here's the problem. The mind was never designed to carry your entire life at once. Yet that's exactly what we ask it to do. We ask it to predict outcomes, rehearse conversations, fix the past, secure the future, and somehow stay calm while doing all of it. So the mind does what it always does when overloaded. It loops. You replay the same scenario again and again, hoping that this time you'll find the perfect answer. You analyze tone, timing, expressions, consequences. You weigh every possible outcome until nothing feels clear anymore. And the cruel irony is this: the more you think, the less grounded you feel. You wake up tired, even after sleep. You feel busy without being productive. You feel stuck, not because you lack options, but because you see too many dots. You tell yourself, I just need to think this through. You know you've already thought enough. What you haven't done is trust. And that's where overthinking truly begins. Here's the shift most people never make. Overthinking is not a thinking problem. It's a relationship problem. A relationship with uncertainty. A relationship with control. A relationship with your own inner voice. You don't overthink because your mind is powerful. You overthink because you don't know when to stop listening to it. We were taught that thinking is strength, that logic leads to safety, that if you analyze long enough, you'll eliminate risk. But life doesn't work that way. Clarity doesn't come from endless thought. It comes from grounded presence, from knowing when enough information is enough, from understanding that no amount of thinking will remove the known dot. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You are not meant to feel certain before every step. You are meant to move with uncertainty, not eliminate it. Once you accept that, something inside you relaxes because you stop trying to win a battle that was never designed to be one. I want to introduce you to the foundation of what I call the Ethan Cole method, not a system to control your mind, but a way to relate to it differently. The first principle is awareness without engagement. Most people don't realize this, but you can notice a thought without following it. A thought can appear and pass, just like a cloud, just like a sound. Overthinkers don't have more thoughts than others. They simply grab onto them. They turn a single thought into a conversation, then into an argument, then into a full emotional experience. The shift is simple, but not easy. When a thought arises, ask yourself quietly, is this useful right now? Not, is this true? Not, is this important? Just useful. If the answer is no, you don't fight the thought. You don't judge it. You let it exist without feeding it. This works because attention is fuel. What you give attention to grows, and peace begins where attention softens. If you're listening to this, I want you to know something clearly. You are not behind in life. You are not broken. And you don't need to fix yourself before you're allowed to feel calm. You've just been carrying too much in your head for too long, and you've been doing it alone. I know what it feels like to want clarity so badly that you exhaust yourself searching for it. I know the frustration of knowing what needs to be done, but feeling mentally tangled before you even begin. And I also know this: you don't need more motivation. You need permission to slow the mental noise. That permission starts now. Imagine waking up and feeling space in your mind, not because your life is perfect, but because you're no longer trying to solve everything at once. Imagine making decisions without rehearsing them 100 times, trusting that you'll adjust as you go. Imagine silence, feeling safe instead of uncomfortable. That version of you is not imaginary. It's not reserved for monks or philosophers. It's what happens when you stop treating every thought like an emergency. Tonight, don't try to fix your overthinking. Just notice it. Notice how often your mind tries to protect you by predicting danger. Notice how it confuses thinking with control. And when you notice, breathe. That's enough for today. In the next part, I'll show you how to interrupt overthinking in real time, and how to rebuild trust in your own decisions without forcing positivity or discipline. For now, let your mind rest from the belief that it has to figure everything out. You're allowed to be here, exactly as you are. Overthinking feels powerful because it feels urgent. the mind speaks quickly. It stacks thoughts on top of each other, and before you realize it, you're inside the loop. The mistake most people make is trying to argue their way out. They challenge the thought. They look for evidence. They counter it with logic. And without realizing it, they've already lost. Because the mind doesn't calm down through debate. It calms down through grounding. So the next principle of the Ethan Cole method is this: shift from thinking to sensing. When your thoughts accelerate, your body becomes invisible. You float into your head and forget that you exist below the neck. That's why overthinking feels disembodied. You're present in thought, absent in self. The interruption begins by returning to the physical dot, not dramatically, not with force. Quietly, feel your feet on the floor. Notice the weight of your body in the chair. Listen to the smallest sound in the room. This works because the body only lives in the present moment. Thought lives everywhere else. By bringing attention to sensation, you collapse the timeline. Past and future lose their grip. The mind has nothing to chew on. This isn't mindfulness as an idea. It's mindfulness as a practical reset. There's something important you need to understand about overthinking. It doesn't feel like self-sabotage. It feels like responsibility. You think, if I stop thinking about this, I'll miss something. If I relax, I'll make the wrong choice. If I don't stay alert, things will fall apart. So you stay tense. You stay mentally awake. You stay on guard. But tension is not awareness. And vigilance is not wisdom. Overthinking gives the illusion of safety, while quietly draining your clarity. The mind confuses motion with progress, but spinning is not moving. Once you see that, the loop loses some of its authority. One of the most common results of overthinking is hesitation. You want to act, but every option comes with a list of consequences. So you wait for certainty, and you wait, and you wait, until waiting becomes the decision. Here's the reframe that changes everything. Most decisions do not require certainty. They require direction. Life is not a single permanent choice. It's a series of adjustable steps. But overthinkers treat decisions like doors that lock behind them, so they stand in the hallway analyzing the door, instead of walking through it. The Ethan Cole method teaches something different. Make the best decision you can with the information you have. Then stay present enough to course correct. It comes from trusting your ability to respond. At the core of overthinking is a quiet doubt in yourself. Not obvious, not dramatic, subtle. A belief that says, I don't trust myself to handle what comes next. So you try to pre-handle everything now. But trust isn't built by thinking more. It's built by experiencing yourself navigating. life in real time. Every time you take action without full certainty and survive it, trust grows. Every time you adapt, adjust, recover, and learn, your nervous system relaxes a little more. Overthinking fades, not when life becomes predictable, but when you become resilient. If your mind feels heavy, it's because you've been strong for too long without rest. You've been carrying questions no one else sees. You've been making silent calculations every day, and you've been holding yourself to a standard of perfection that no human can meet. I want you to hear this clearly. You are allowed to make imperfect decisions. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to learn as you go. That doesn't make you careless. It makes you alive. And if no one has told you this recently, you're doing better than you think. Here's a simple practice you can use starting today. When you notice yourself spiraling, don't ask, "How do I fix this?" Ask, "Can this wait 10 minutes?" Most thoughts lose their intensity when delayed. Urgency fades when it's not obeyed. During those 10 minutes, do something grounding. Walk, breathe slowly, wash your hands, look out a window. You're not avoiding the thought, you're testing it. If it's still relevant later, you can return to it with a calmer mind. If not, it was noise. This works because clarity needs space, and space begins with pause. Picture yourself responding instead of reacting. A message comes in. A challenge appears. A decision presents itself. And instead of your mind racing ahead, you stay here. You feel your breath. You hear your own voice. You choose deliberately. Life doesn't slow down. You do. And in that slowing, you gain something rare: stability. Not because the world is calm, but because you are. You don't need to silence your mind. You need to stop obeying every thought it offers. Thoughts are suggestions, not commands. Tonight, practice pausing before engaging. Practice returning to your body. Practice trusting that you can handle the next moment when it arrives. In the final part, I'll guide you through how to rebuild a clear inner voice, how to live with a quieter mind long term, and how to move forward without fear, controlling your choices. For now, let this land. You don't need to be faster. You don't need to be smarter. You just need to be present. One of the quiet consequences of overthinking is that you lose trust in your own inner voice, not because it disappears, but because it gets buried under analysis, buried under advice, buried under imagined outcomes and borrowed expectations, when every thought is given the same weight. Wisdom becomes difficult to hear. So the question isn't, how do I stop thinking? It's, how do I know which thoughts deserve my attention? A clear inner voice doesn't shout. It doesn't rush. It doesn't argue. It feels steady. Often, It shows up as a simple knowing, a quiet pull, a calm sense of, this is enough for now. Overthinking drowns that voice out by demanding certainty. But clarity doesn't demand. It waits. The Ethan Cole method teaches you to listen for the calmest thought in the room, not the loudest, not the most dramatic, the calmest. That thought is usually the one aligned with truth. Many people say they want a quieter mind, but when silence arrives, they rush to fill it. Music, scrolling, talking, more thinking, because stillness can feel unfamiliar. When you stop thinking, you meet yourself. Not the version performing, not the version planning, just you. And that can feel vulnerable. Overthinking becomes a shield, a way to stay busy instead of present. But presence is not dangerous. It's where healing begins. The discomfort of stillness is temporary. The cost of avoiding it is permanent. A clear mind is not built in a single moment of insight. It's built through daily relationship, a relationship with your thoughts, with your body. With time, you begin by respecting your mental limits. Not every problem needs to be solved today. Not every thought needs to be answered. Not every emotion needs an explanation. Some things resolve themselves when given space. You protect your mornings from mental overload. You create small moments of quiet without agenda. You choose depth over constant input. These aren't productivity habits. They're sanity habits, and over time, your nervous system learns something new. It learns that it doesn't have to stay on high alert to survive. One of the most powerful shifts you can make is this. Stop trying to feel ready. Start trusting your ability to adapt. Life will always remain partly unknown. No amount of thinking will change that, but fear doesn't come from uncertainty. It comes from believing you can't handle it. When you see yourself responding, adjusting, and recovering again and again, fear loosens its grip. You stop asking, what if this goes wrong? And start asking, if it does, can I handle it? And the honest answer, most of the time, is yes. You always have. If you've been living inside your head, I want you to remember this. Your worth is not measured by how much you think, or how well you anticipate outcomes, or how perfectly you plan your life. You are valuable because you are here, breathing, experiencing, learning. You don't need to earn peace by overanalyzing your existence. Peace is your natural state when you stop resisting the present moment, and you are allowed to return to it. Imagine a life where your mind supports you. Instead of exhausting you, you wake up grounded. You move through the day with intention. When challenges arise, you respond without panic. You still think, but you don't spiral. You still plan, but you don't obsess. You trust yourself to handle life as it unfolds. And because of that trust, you feel lighter. Not because life is easy, but because you are no longer fighting your own mind. That is real freedom. I want to leave you with this. You don't need to conquer your thoughts. You don't need to control your mind. You need to stop identifying with every thought that passes through it. You are the awareness behind the thinking, not the noise itself. Today, take one small step. When your mind begins to race, pause. Place your attention in your body. Breathe slowly and choose presence over prediction. That single act, repeated gently, changes everything. Clarity is not found in the future. It's found right here, and you already know how to be here.